Thank you for being here. Again, we'll try to be brief. So, we all know how important mass transit is to the New York metropolitan area. Whether you take the subway, the Long Island Railroad, the New Jersey Transit, it's the lifeblood of New York. And our transit system is in desperate need for a cash infusion to weather this pandemic. Negotiations are down to the wire. The federal government runs out of money this Friday, and we need that money. So we are here today to push for another $4 billion in relief for the MTA as a bridge to the Biden administration. We need it now. Because I've said it and I'll say it again, mass transit is the lifeblood of New York, and New York is the beating heart of the American economy. So you let mass transit go down, you hurt New York, and you hurt the whole economy. So I'm here to let New Yorkers know I am working hard to deliver a second $4 billion to the MTA to keep the system flowing, to keep the workers working, to keep the riders riding, and keep the economy running. As you all know, in the first CARES bill, I got $4 billion because New York's transit needed it. And at that point, we thought that COVID would be over by the summer. But it isn't. So we need more money, and we need it now. And without transit funds, now, New York City, Long Island, Westchester, and New Jersey will face a harder recovery even than we have now. And so will the nation. The deadline is Friday. We're at the last stop of our negotiations. We need help for New York City Transit, right here. And we need help for Long Island Railroad here, as well as Metro North, as well as New Jersey Transit. The bottom line is it's simple. And with this transit money that we're pushing to get in the final negotiations, not just helps New York, it helps rural areas who desperately need buses. Upstate New York that desperately needs buses. And other mass transit systems in other cities. Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. They said they may have to shut down the subways in Washington, D.C. for a period of time. So this is not just a New York issue, but New York needs mass transit the most, more than any other single state. So we got to get this done. I'm fighting hard to get this done. I do have some allies, but it is vital, vital, vital. And we want the package that will be, hopefully, they'll come to an agreement on, we'll all come to an agreement on, to have mass transit money. Here are some numbers, okay? Daily subway ridership is down 70% from last year, from 5.4 million trips a day to 1.6. That's why our system is hurting. Fewer people are putting money in the fare box. That's less money for the MTA, but they got to keep it running. Whether there is 100 people on a subway car or 10 people, it costs the same to keep it running, but there's less revenues. That's the fundamental problem that we face. And, of course, getting this money will prevent the MTA from furloughing thousands of hardworking employees who are so important to our state and our city. So that's that. Angela, leave anything out?
No, but what you should do is you should hold up the signs again with your Metro card.
Oh, yes, my Metro card.
Because
okay, yep.
then it just looks a little clean.
Here we are. New York City Transit, something I've used ever since I was a little boy and got on the D train at Kings Highway to go up to Yankee Stadium. 15 cents, 35 cents for the bleachers. So the whole day cost 65 cents and I could see the Yankees because of mass transit. And I was only 7, 8 years old when I did that. Then it was the D train, now it's the Q train. That doesn't go all, the D went all the way up to Yankee Stadium.
Swap it for LIRR.
Well, they don't have a Metro card.
Yeah, you could just do it again.
This is what we need, among other things. I've talked about many other things we've needed at other press events that we've had here. Okay, questions on this subject?
On this, Senator Schumer, for the funding to be part of any final deal, what exactly was specifically did President-elect Biden say to you and his thoughts on the transit?
President-elect Biden is strongly in support of mass transit. And when he becomes president, I believe we will have much greater support in the White House for mass transit and for New York City funding than we have today. But there's a gap. He doesn't become president till January 20th. We then got to get Congress to work again, so we need this money now. This isn't all the money the MTA needs, but it should tide them over for the next 4 to 6 months until we can get a bigger package under the Biden administration.
And the vaccines, your thoughts on
Well, let me go to stay on this subject first.
Yes, sir.
On these negotiations, what is it that's holding these negotiations up at this point? It seems like from an outside.
Well, the good news on the negotiations is that the Gang of Eight is working hard, and they hope to have something as early as tomorrow morning. It's not everything we all want, but it's a good framework, and I hope everyone can come together around the Gang of Eight. If we don't come to an agreement, we should stay here through Christmas and New Year's because people are suffering. Sorry. If we don't come to agreement, we should stay in the Capitol through Christmas and New Year's because people are suffering. Congress should not go home until we have an agreement. I'm not going to do any negotiations here in public. As you know, I believe state and local aid is vital to get something done. There are lots of things that are vital to get things done, but I'm not negotiating here in public. The Gang of Eight, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, is putting a package on the floor tomorrow, and that should be the basis for negotiations.
Senator, the MTA board on Wednesday is going to vote on a budget that includes some of the draconian cuts that you were just mentioning. Obviously, that budget's amendable, but is this $4 billion too little too late for the MTA?
No, they've told us if we get it now, it can save the day. Okay?
On the transportation aid as a whole, last numbers I saw, and feel free to correct me, that airlines are getting more money than public transit, even though they carry.
Okay, I'm not going to negotiate in public, but I do not believe that's true. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
And on the vaccine, Senator?
Oh, vaccine, yes.
Sir, thank you. Can you comment on your thoughts on the transportation of the vaccines, the shipment of them out? And
Yeah,
the
well, look,
vaccine
there are 2 phases here. One is to get the vaccine, to produce it, manufacture it, but the other is to get it in people's arms. A vaccine in a bottle does no good. A vaccine in someone's arms does a lot of good. Thank God they're coming out. There'll be more coming out. Hopefully other companies will come out even with an easier to administer and easier to distribute vaccine. The sooner the better. It must be distributed fairly and equitably.
And are you confident that Americans will take it?
I am hopeful that Americans will take it, and the authorities, the scientific authorities, will decide who's eligible first. But I think the vaccine can be a real answer to the COVID crisis, and I would encourage as much production safely, as much distribution safely and equitably as we can get as quickly as possible.
And one more, would you take it and when?
Well, I will take it when the authorities say it's the appropriate time for me to take it, but I would take it, yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you, Senator.
And save our stages. Very important as well.
Any movement on that?
Well, same thing. Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you, Senator.